racist woman tore the dress, thinking she was just a black waitress. Her millionaire husband saw everything. The crystal chandeliers of the Grandview Hotel cast golden light across the ballroom where Chicago's elite had gathered for the annual Heritage Foundation Gala. Among the servers moving gracefully between tables was 28-year-old Amara Williams. Her white uniform was pressed perfectly, and her hair pulled back in an elegant bun. She carried herself with quiet dignity as she served champagne and hors d'oeuvres to guests who rarely looked her in the eye. Amara had been working at the Grandview for 3 years while finishing her law degree at night. She was only 2 months away from taking the bar exam. Her mother had been a housekeeper and her father a janitor. They'd taught her that honest work was nothing to be ashamed of, that every job deserved to be done with pride. At table 7 sat Victoria Ashford, 53 years old, with platinum blonde hair styled in an elaborate updo. She wore a champagne-colored silk gown and a triple strand of pearls that probably cost more than Amara's entire year of tuition. Victoria was married to James Ashford, a successful real estate developer who'd built half the luxury buildings in downtown Chicago. James was 49, with dark hair beginning to gray at the temples. He stood near the grand staircase talking with business associates. He'd learned long ago to give his wife space at these events. Her temper could be unpredictable. Victoria snapped her fingers at Amara without looking up from her phone. "You there? More champagne, and this time make sure it's actually cold." Amara approached with a fresh glass on her tray. "Of course, ma'am." As she reached forward to place the glass on the table, Victoria's hand shot out. She grabbed Amara's wrist. The tray tilted and champagne splashed onto Victoria's gown. The ballroom seemed to pause. Conversations stopped mid-sentence. Heads turned. Victoria's face flushed red with fury. "You clumsy fool. Look what you've done." Amara's voice remained calm. "Ma'am, I apologize, but you grabbed my wrist as I was serving." Victoria stood up. Her chair scraped loudly against the marble floor. "Don't you dare blame me for your incompetence. Do you know who I am? Do you have any idea what this dress costs?" She reached out and grabbed the collar of Amara's uniform. Before anyone could react, Victoria yanked hard. The fabric tore with a sickening sound. Buttons scattered across the floor. Amara stumbled backward, her uniform hanging in shreds. The room went completely silent. Amara stood there exposed and humiliated in front of hundreds of wealthy strangers. But she didn't cry. She didn't run. She simply looked Victoria in the eye with a strength that seemed to come from somewhere deep inside, that was uncalled for, ma'am. Victoria laughed. A harsh, ugly sound. "Uncalled for. You ruined my dress. You're just a waitress. You're nothing. Do you understand? Nothing." From across the room, James Ashford had seen everything. He'd been watching from the moment Victoria grabbed Amara's wrist. His face had gone pale, then red. Now he moved through the crowd with purposeful strides. People parted to let him through. "Victoria." His voice was quiet, but it cut through the silence like a blade. His wife turned with a triumphant smile. "James, darling, did you see what this incompetent girl did to my dress? She—" "Stop talking." Victoria's smile faltered. She wasn't used to this tone from her husband. James removed his suit jacket and walked over to Amara. He draped it gently over her shoulders. "I apologize," he said softly. "No one should ever be treated this way." Then he turned to face the crowd. His voice carried across the ballroom. "My name is James Ashford, and I'm ashamed that I've stood by for too long, while my wife treated people with cruelty and disrespect. Ashamed that I valued peace over doing what was right." Victoria's face went white. "James, what are you doing? You're embarrassing me." James looked at her with something like sadness. "No, Victoria, you've embarrassed yourself, and you've embarrassed me for the last time." He turned back to Amara. "I don't know your name." "Amara Williams, sir. Miss Williams. I saw what happened here. My wife grabbed your wrist and then assaulted you. I'm calling the police if you wish to press charges, and the Grandview Hotel will be hearing from my lawyers about protecting their staff." The hotel manager came rushing over, a nervous man in his 60s named Edward Pearson. "Mr. Ashford, please. There's no need for such drastic measures. I'm sure we can resolve this quietly." James's eyes were steel. "Edward, your employee was physically assaulted. If you're more concerned about avoiding scandal than protecting her, then you're part of the problem. Amara found her voice. It's all right, sir. I don't need the police, but I do need to finish my shift with dignity. James nodded slowly. That's your choice and I respect it. But I want you to know something. He raised his voice again so the whole room could hear. This young woman has shown more grace in the last 5 minutes than most people in this room have shown in their entire lives. She's been serving you all evening with professionalism and courtesy. And she was assaulted for it. If any of you remain silent about what you witnessed here tonight, then you're complicit. A woman in her 60s stepped forward. Margaret Chen, a retired judge. She'd been watching from table 3. I saw everything she said. Victoria Ashford grabbed this young woman's wrist without provocation. Then she tore her clothing in an act of violence. I'll provide a statement to anyone who needs one. Others began nodding. Voices rose in agreement. Even some of Victoria's so-called friends were backing away from her. Victoria looked around wildly. This is ridiculous. I'm the victim here. She ruined my dress. James spoke quietly, but everyone heard him. Pack your things, Victoria. Our marriage is over. I should have done this years ago. In the weeks that followed, the story spread through Chicago society. James filed for divorce. Victoria fought it, but witnesses from the gala lined up to testify about her behavior, not just that night but at countless other events where she'd belittled and demeaned service workers. James settled a generous sum on Amara to help with her law school costs. He also funded a scholarship in her name for students from working-class backgrounds pursuing law degrees. Amara tried to refuse at first, but James insisted. You earned this, he told her, not by what happened that night, but by the grace you showed in the face of cruelty. 2 months later, Amara passed the bar exam with flying colors. She joined a firm that specialized in workers' rights. Her first case was representing hotel staff who'd faced discrimination. James attended her swearing-in ceremony. They'd become unlikely friends. He'd learned from her that dignity isn't about money or status. It's about how you treat people when no one's watching, or in this case, when everyone is. Victoria moved to Arizona after the divorce. James heard she'd joined a country club there. He hoped she'd learned something, but he doubted it. Some people never do. As for Amara, she kept that torn uniform, not as a reminder of humiliation, but as a reminder of strength, of the moment she stood tall when someone tried to make her feel small. And years later, when she became a judge herself, she'd look at that uniform hanging in her office. It reminded her why she did this work, why justice mattered, and why you should never judge someone by the work they do or the uniform they wear. Because character isn't about where you start. It's about how you carry yourself through every moment of your life. If this story moved you, please like this video. Share it with someone who needs to remember that every person deserves respect, regardless of their job or background. Subscribe to our channel for more true stories about dignity, courage, and standing up for what's right. And comment below about a time when you witnessed someone being mistreated or when you stood up for what was right. Your voice matters, and your story could inspire someone else to act with courage and kindness.